If the employee resigns and they've completed the turnover, are they required to stay? How can they leave even if the 30-day turnover period isn't done yet?
A lot of resigning or about to resign employees have this on their mind, just like our reader Kira, who asks, Attorney, I have recently resigned from my job due to family matters and conflicts. So I gave the resignation letter to our manager on the same date. I also endorsed and turned over all the files to my coworkers. I asked my boss if I can just render a 1-day turnover, to which he said, No. I said that I won't come back anymore. Can I do that? Can I still get my certificate of employment and final pay? If you're thinking the same thing, stick around as we tackle these questions today. This episode is brought to you by our free legal guide to writing resignation letters. It's a free online workshop that gives you a template for writing legally compliant resignation letters and teaches you the reasons for each part. It also gives you a template that you can use. We'll help you resign properly, so enroll for free at info.legalguide.ph/resignation letter to get your free template and orientation today. Welcome to Legal Guide Philippines, where we simplify the law to help you make better choices. I'm Attorney Ramon Ramirez, and I'm with my partner,
Attorney Erwin Zagala.
So today we're talking about turnover periods, where the battle rages on between the employees who want to leave as soon as possible and the employers who want to keep their business safe on the other hand.
Siyempre, di ba? Aalis yung team member eh.
Correct.
Paano naman kaming may iiwan? So I guess yun yung tumatakbo sa ulo ng mga employers and managers.
Yes.
Now, to help people who are in this situation on both sides, di ba? For the employees who want to leave and the employers, let's give some tips.
Okay.
That way they can navigate their situation better. And the first point that we want to make is employees, you should do the turnover if you're not exempted.
What?
Oh, so they should, as a general rule, give a 30-day turnover.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
So, there's the question of our readers, si Kira, she wanted to do it in just 1 day.
Oo.
Pwede
So,
ba yan?
before we get to Kira, I think it's good to do a quick review because we already tackled this in another video natin. It's called Can I Do an Immediate Resignation? So there are two kinds of resignation. How many? Two. Isa is what we like to call the regular resignation. Ito yung gusto ko lang talagang umalis.
Okay.
Lilipat ako or sawa na ako rito, alis na lang ako. Now, the second kind is the just cause termination. Hindi termination. Resignation.
Just cause resignation?
Oo.
Okay.
Pero pwede rin termination. Termination of my relationship with my... Because essentially, that's what it is. You're putting a stop to your employment relationship with your employer. So, you might be thinking, attorney, ano ba yung just cause resignation?
Okay.
Kasi, ang important din sa just cause resignation, if you fall under any of these, hindi mo kailangan mag-turnover.
Okay.
Pero tulad ng sinabi natin sa huling video natin, medyo mabigat dapat yung pinagdaanan mo. Hindi siya basta-basta na ayaw ko na rito, gusto ko na umalis eh. Yun yung parang normal resignation.
Okay, so just recap very quickly so I understand. There is a resignation where it's yung plain vanilla resignation, meaning I want to apply for a new job, nagre-resign muna ako. Or may family problem ako or whatever.
Or sawa na ako sa
trabaho. I will give a resignation letter.
Yes.
In which case, yun yung regular. Now, meron tayong tinatawag na just cause resignation wherein I guess from yung pangalan niya, may mga certain situations where the employee can just resign and exempt siya from the turnover period.
For example, serious insult to the honor and person of the employee.
Okay.
And if that happens, that's a just cause for immediate resignation.
Serious insult. Okay.
Inhuman and unbearable treatment accorded the employee.
Okay, inhuman and unbearable. Kung yung hindi siya pinag-CCR.
Mahirap nga naman.
Mahirap yun. Inhuman.
Another is crime committed against the employee.
Sana naman, attorney.
Kawawa naman.
Pwede na ako siguro mag-resign ng ganyan.
Sipin mo, papabalikin ka ba? Pinagtangkaan ka na. Tapos, balik ka bukas ha. Hindi pwede.
Makes sense. Okay.
And other similar causes. Now, for a more extensive discussion on that, again, I invite you to go to our other video. Just type, can I resign immediately on our blog? And that should turn up. Now, ayun So,
Okay.
kung sakali, di ba dalawa? One is vanilla or normal. Ito
Mhm.
yung just cause.
Right.
Kung nandito ka sa first scenario, guys, just do the 30-day. Safer for you.
Mhm.
Now, that being said, dito naman papasok si Kira.
Okay.
So, medyo may parang permutation or pagkakaiba.
Okay.
So, scenario number 1. Sige.
Plain vanilla. Okay.
Yan.
Plain vanilla. Okay.
So, ito yung just cause. Lumalabas sa tanong ni Kira, dyan siya sa situation na yan. Kaya lang, may parang sub-category.
Wow. Okay.
Kasi ganito.
Oh.
So, recognize naman ni Kira na kailangan niya mag-turnover. Diba? However, sabi niya, attorney, tinapos ko na yung turnover.
Oo, sabi
in
niya,
one day.
It's in her question, di ba? Na I did everything in one day. Ang galing niya. Oh.
Napa-acknowledge pa, naibigay na. So, within this category, ayan. So, may subcategory. Ito ngayon, yung mga tapos na mag-turnover. Ang tanong, ano mangyayari sa mga taong to na nasa subcategory na to?
Well,
ang mabilis mag-turnover.
According kay Kira, hindi na ako babalik. I don't need to go back.
Okay. Medyo dangerous po yun. Okay, ganito
Why?
Okay. So, yung turnover, the concept, normal understanding po is 30 days for you to tender the documents, the company property, mag-update, blah, blah, blah. Now, ang problem kasi, the turnover can mean different things for the employer and the employee. So, let me take an example. Una muna tayo sa employee side.
Okay.
Sa empleyado, ano ba pagkakaintindi ng turnover?
Ako,
ito yung
sige.
assigned sa akin na folder. Bibigay ko sa inyo yan.
Yes. Ito yung mga assigned sa akin na properties, assets. Like, my laptop, my cellphone, or whatever. Isasauli ko din yan. Ito yung hawak kong pera. Isasauli ko yan.
Or kunwari may mga advances ako, niliquidate ko na.
Yes.
Diba? Now, sa ulo po or sa mindset ng empleyado, once magawa ko yun, ano ba ang silbi ng 30 days?
Why do you need me?
Out na ako. Di ba sinabi, basta't makapag-turnover?
May point naman siya, Attorney Erwin.
Oo.
Kasi,
if you look at it exclusively from the point of view of an employee.
Okay.
However, I invite you to take a look from the other side naman, from the employer side.
Okay.
Kasi baka magkaiba yung definition. Ngayon, there are some circumstances na na-identify natin, Attorney Ramon, na posibleng sa mata ng employee, tapos na ako dyan. Pero sa employer, hindi pa. And this is still validly under the concept of turnover within the labor code. Number 1, tapos ka na bigay ng mga kailangan mo.
Yes.
Pero, kailangan ko pa ng oras maghanap ng kapalit. I need time to look for a replacement for you.
That's
diba?
true.
So, tapos na yun. Tapos na yung turnover mo. Pero, kailangan pa kita.
Yes.
Tama?
Tama.
Another one is, na-turnover mo na yan. Pero I need time to train your replacement.
Yes,
nakahanap na ako, pero pag umalis ka bigla, mapipila yung operations natin.
And going back to looking for a replacement, sometimes I think 30 days is not even enough for certain kinds of positions.
That's true.
Diba? So, konting malasakit lang. I would say na to your employers to find somebody as good as you. Diba?
And remember, the 30 days, it's mandated by law as minimum. Hindi, yun ang kailangan mo ibigay sa employer mo. Another situation is checking if there are things that they need to clarify with you. Alam kasi nila na kapag ikaw umalis na, mahirap ka nang kontakin. Ano nga ba ang ginawa ni Kira dito sa project na to? Ano yung huli niya sinabi? So, they might need the 30 days, kahit na naibigay mo na lahat ng files, to think about the different things that they need to clarify.
That's true. And ako, coming from my own experience, Attorney Erwin, I also worked for employers before, and definitely, even way beyond my 30-day turnover period, I'm already working for somebody else, or matagal na akong wala. Maya't maya, I might get a call from them, no? Which means kulang na kulang actually 30 days sometimes, no, for certain kinds of position to do a turnover. So let's give them that as well.
And I think konting malasakit naman sa employer kasi it's going to be a big change within the organization. Mawawala ng isang tao. Ano ba naman yung ibigay mo yung transition period na 30 days?
That's
diba?
true. I agree.
And finally, kahit na binigay mo na lahat ng tingin mo dapat ibigay, what if they need time to check? Baka may na-neglect ka i-turnover. Or baka may accountability ka pa. Diba?
Possible.
Kasi sometimes, iikot ng departments yan eh. O finance, may advances ba tong empleyadong to?
Mhm.
Or property and inventory, may hindi pa ba na-turnover na laptop, cellphone, whatever, di ba? O security department, na ibigay na ba yung ID?
Mm.
HR, kumpleto na ba lahat ng mga forms, di ba? So, umiikot yan eh. So, it might take more than a day na binigay ng empleyado.
Agree.
Tapos na ako eh.
Lalo na if it's a big company or a big big organization. No?
Mhm. So I hope it becomes clearer to you guys that the concept of turnover may not mean the same thing between employee and employer. And as far as we're concerned from a legal perspective, sunod na lang tayo what the labor code says about the turnover period, di ba? Even if feeling mo na una ka na natapos,
Mhm.
well, let's provide the whole 30 days. Now, assuming naman na you're pretty confident that naibigay mo na lahat, after the break, we'll be talking about how to negotiate it to be shorter. Which leads me to the next point. So after you've turned over everything, di ba? Okay ka na, di ba? Tapos na. And you feel na, sige, baka meron pa. Pero baka naman pwedeng mapakiusapan na na iklian. So my point is, you are free to negotiate. Pwede naman pag-usapan because there's nothing in the law which says that the employer has to wait out the whole 30 days. If they feel satisfied, if okay na sila na, wala na kaming kailangan talaga, they have the discretion to cut it down. And kung sakali, pwede nga yung one day mapagbigyan if they feel confident.
However, in Kira's case, the manager said no.
Oo, nagpaalam na eh.
Oo.
Now, I wanted to go through some points paano mapa-yes.
Okay.
Paano mapataas yung probability na mag-yes ang management if
Okay.
you ask for a shorter turnover. Now, just a disclaimer, guys, under the labor code, entitled talaga ang employer to the 30 days. Ito, it's more of pakiusap.
Mhm.
Nakikiusap ka na, ma'am, sir, baka naman po pwedeng i-shorten natin. Kapag humindi, wala tayong magagawa.
It's
They
not-
are entitled to that.
It's not the right of the employee.
No.
It's the right of the employer to have that 30 days.
This is more of a privilege.
Mm.
So let me give some pointers on how to increase the chances of getting that privilege
I
of
like
a
it.
shorter turnover period. Malinaw ha?
Malinaw.
It's not a right. Okay?
Clear.
First tip, make it easy to say yes.
How do we make it easy, attorney?
Wag mong gaspangan yung ugali mo. Okay, ganito.
Alright.
So, Attorney Ramon, sample lang. May nakikiusap sa'yo.
Okay.
Medyo galit pa. Tapos, medyo demanding.
Hmm.
Versus someone na very logical, mahinahon, sinasabi yung mga points niya ng maayos, in a respectful manner. Between the two, sino mas pagbibigyan mo?
Definitely the second one.
Diba? Both of them may have the same grounds, pero guys, napakalaki ng dating ng packaging. Totoo lang.
True.
More than half yung effect. Kasi kahit tama sinasabi mo, pero bastos kang kausap, or masyadong pushy, mapilit, especially ikaw yung humihingi ng pabor, medyo bababa ang chances natin dyan. So,
Minsan nga kahit na very tama naman yung hinihingi kung hindi maganda yung pagkakatanong sa person, just to spite the person na bastos, hindi tayo, di ba?
this is part of human
It's human
relations.
And it's human nature.
Yes. And it plays a big part in negotiations. So for me, guys, make it easy. Be as fair, respectful, and personable as possible kapag nakikiusap. Okay? Be easy to deal with so that the chances of them saying yes increase exponentially. Minsan nga, Atty. Ramon, kahit hindi entitled basta't nakiusap ng maayos,
That's
ang
true.
problema.
That's true.
Ayun, on the other side naman. So, make it easy. What is the next step? Make it advantageous.
Uy.
Oo.
Yan ha.
So, paano mo mape-present yung request mo in such a way that it's advantageous to the management? Ma'am, sir, ganito po. I know that one of your concerns is yung pag-train po ng papalit sa akin. Ma'am, I will do an extensive training. And if you want, i-testing ninyo after. Assuming na pumasa po sa testing ninyo, would you allow me to leave?
Pwede.
So make it advantageous.
Pwede.
Diba?
And I think this is where your creativity will come into play. No? So,
And it's actually something that we discussed in the resignation workshop.
uy,
There's a
nice.
bonus module there on how to do negotiations extensively. Actually, may worksheet pa na binibigay doon
Nice.
na pwede nila i-fill out to beef up their negotiating position. You can enroll in the negotiation workshop at info.legalguide.ph/resignation. Yeah. So, make it advantageous. paano mo mapapaganda yung situation para sa employee mo. And then finally, let's talk about the third tip, which is make it logical.
Iba pa yun sa make it advantageous.
Oo, advantageous kasi parang, may incentive. Ito naman, saan ka pa pupunta, wala ka nang babagsakan. Logical lang na payagan mo ko. For example, ma'am, kung sakali, in a way, parang advantageous pa rin naman to. But for me, it's all about logic. Ma'am, tapos ko na yung turnover. Wala na kayong kailangan sa akin. Kung papapasukin pa ninyo ko, susweldohan niyo pa ako.
Pwede,
di ba?
pwede.
Why not hayaan na lang ninyo ako na mag-go na, nakatipid pa kayo, ma'am.
Pwede.
Or, ma'am, may leave pa ako natitira. Baka naman pwedeng i-consider na yun as part of terminal leave. That way, bawas din po yung babayaran. Deal? Di ba?
Pwede. So, parang lumalabas sa Attorney Erwin, nakikiusap tayo, but at the same time, we're also thinking of ways where it can become a win-win scenario for both the employee and the employer. I like that.
Come to think of it, actually, pwede mo siyang i-lump together, no? Advantageous and logical for them to say yes.
Yeah. Even better.
Even better. So, ayun guys, again, pag nakikiusap kasi kayo, you have to think out of the box. What would entice them to give you a free pass dun sa 30 days? And think about that. If you need help, just enroll in the workshop. Actually, nandun yan. Okay? And then, this leads me to point number 4, Attorney Ramon.
Okay,
so having said that, ito yung mga bagay na dapat gawin, ito yung things na dapat ipakiusap. What are the definite no-nos naman? What are the things that you should never do?
Yan, very important yan, Attorney Erwin.
Kunwari,
Okay.
pa-turnover ka na, and then posibleng hindi ka pinayagan. Ito, wag na wag mong gagawin.
What? What's the first one?
Sabotage. Ayaw nyo akong payagan, ha?
Sige.
Sige, biglang may mawawala na papel dito.
Hindi ko ibibigay yan. Nako.
Or hindi ko sasabihin na ito na pala yung sinabi ng kliyente. Para magkagulo kayo.
O pababayaan ko yung replacement ko, bahala siyang magkamali. Ganyan. Nako.
Never do that, guys. It will reflect badly on you. Alam mo, parang okay naman yung trabaho mo, and then sa dulo, doon ka pa sumabit, nag-iwan ng kalukuhan. Di ba? And don't think na walang consequences yan. Makakarating at makakarating yan. Even sa susunod na pagtatrabahuan mo. Tandaan nyo, nagba-background check ang mga next employers ninyo. Ano sa tingin niyo sasabihin? When the previous employee finds out that you committed sabotage within their ranks.
True.
Diba? Sayang naman yung
yung good relations and reputation you've built, no? Just na hindi ka lang napagbigyan, you're gonna do something at the end, no? Yung sabotage.
Parang yung image na pumapasok sa akin, nag-marathon yung tao. Tapos, ito na yung finish line, biglang nadapa pa
or nag-give up na lang.
Oo, ayoko na, pagod na ako. Parang, guys, sayang naman. From a career perspective, it should have been, upward progression. Umalis ka na maayos dito so that you can move to the next one na clean slate. Nag-iwang ka pa ng lagim.
Yeah.
Wag naman. Now, on the other side, yung iba naman kasi galit kaya umaalis.
Okay.
Sabotage isn't the way. There are legal remedies that you can avail of kung sakaling may ginawa laban sa inyo or na-violate yung rights niyo. But I don't think sabotage is one of them. Kasi pwede kang balikan legally.
Yeah.
If you cause damage to the company, kunwari, sige ayaw niyo ko payagan, tinanggal mo yung plug ng refrigerator. Kinabukasan, bulok lahat ng karne na gagamitin sa restaurant.
Raw mats pala, no?
Raw materials. Ikaw babalikan nun. Kala mo, ganun-ganun lang yan. No. There are consequences in the real world, and we want you to avoid that as much as possible. Next is burning bridges with coworkers.
Yeah, this happens a lot, no? Sa galit nila when they left,
kung ano na yung pinagsasabi, di ba?
Since aalis na naman ako, ikaw, ganito ka.
Ilang taon na ako nagtitiis. Actually, ang baho ng hininga mo.
Oh my gosh.
Hindi kita kaya di ba yung mga ganun? Guys.
Or worse, no? Or worse, mababaw yung hininga, but or other,
Actually, ginagawa ko na lang nakakatawa, pero yung mga totoong example, mabigat talaga So, please don't do that. I think it's career suicide. Paalis ka na, gumawa ka pa ng kaaway.
Yeah.
Di ba?
True.
So, parang hindi ako masyadong supportive sa ganyan. Sure, it may feel nice in the moment, pero
in the moment, guys.
Pero looking back or siguro years from now, might come back to haunt you.
especially now, wherein social media has made the world a much smaller environment,
True.
diba? So before, when there wasn't any social media, you could do whatever, and chances are baka hindi malaman yung ginawa mo in the previous company. But right now, it's everybody's so interconnected. It's just so easy for people to find out what you've done.
That's true. Oh, next is steal.
Hmm.
Definitely. Ayaw nyo akong payagan. Ha? Mukhang itong stapler ko, ilang taon ko nang hawak to eh.
Oh.
I'm not leaving you here.
Stealing company property.
Ah.
Bukod sa no siya in terms of resigning, it's also against the law. the revised penal code says that it's wrong. Don't do that.
Oh, again, ginagawa ko na lang medyo light. Stapler ang ninakaw. Pero in the real world, hindi stapler ang mga kinukuha. Ng
Usually,
mga usual na cases.
Ano ba what have we experienced, Attorney Irwin? Cellphones?
Laptop.
Vehicles. Yeah, no. Or money collected on behalf of the company, di ba? For sales, people engaged in sales. No,
akin na to.
Yes. Ayaw nyo bigay last pay ko, akin na to.
Oh.
Yan. Delikado tayo dyan, guys.
We would strongly advise against it. Again, if you feel na your rights have been violated, may kulang, there are other remedies.
Yes.
But don't take the law into your own hands.
Yes. Correct.
Next, ayaw nyo ako payagan mag-resign. I'll neglect my duties. Tinatawagan ka na pala ng kliyente, hindi mo na pina-attenda.
Hindi mo na pinapansin. Kasi pa-resign na ako in 30 days.
Oo. Kunwari, may bidding. Ikaw in charge ng bidding. Ay, bahala na kayo dyan.
Tinapon na yung papeles.
Diba? So, neglecting things may affect your clearance.
True.
Tandaan nyo, hindi pa tapos ang kwento. May clearance pa tayo. At saka background checks.
Yes.
Diba? So, it never really ends when you submit your paper lang. No. The story doesn't end there. So please be mindful of this. And finally, eto naman, Attorney Ramon, kung sakaling hindi mapagbigyan yung pag-alis mo ng mas maaga, wag magtampo.
True, syempre.
Okay, so take a look at this. Nakikiusap ka. Ilalagay lang natin sa lugar, nakikiusap po kayo. So,
kasi hindi right.
Kasi hindi niyo po karapatan na umalis ng earlier than 30 days.
Okay.
Kung sakaling hindi mapagbigyan, for the reasons na sinabi ko kanina or some other reason, wag po tayo magtampo kasi it's their right to make use of that period talaga for transition. Di ba? Pwede ka magtampo or magalit kung karapatan, pero parang ibang usapan kapag nakikiusap ka. Tapos, hindi mapagbigyan. Ayun na, nag-aalburuto.
Posible kasi, attorney, I've been here for 10 years. Ito lang, hindi nyo mapagbigyan.
Oh.
Diba? I've sacrificed everything. Diba? But I guess, again, that's not the way. No? Na magtampo is not the way to do it.
Kaya sagot ko naman, 10 years ka na pala rito. Ano ba naman yung 30 days? konti na lang, di ba?
Correct.
And again, which goes back to our point kanina, you don't want to leave with a tarnished reputation.
Yes.
Konting-konti na lang, guys. Sinira mo pa. As much as you can avoid burning bridges or creating friction, I would advise that, especially since the labor code requires this. Diba? Sisirain mo pa dahil doon.
Tama. Agreed.
Ayan, so Attorney Ramon,
okay.
We've tackled a lot. Do you mind doing a recap for everyone?
Not at all, Attorney Irwin. So, we talked about a lot of things today. The first thing we talked about with respect to Kira's question is you should do the turnover already if you're not exempted. Okay? So, if you're not exempted, meaning hindi pasok dun sa just causes of resignation.
Dalawa kasi, di ba? Isa yung normal resignation,
and then
isa yung
just cause resignation. Okay? So, if dito tayo sa normal, do the turnover period already. Okay? Second point that Attorney Irwin made was the turnover is not for you to decide, you as the employee. It's actually for the employer to decide. Okay? Another point that
kasi sorry, I wanted to stress kasi it's not for you to decide because to your mind magkakaiba kasi kayo ng definitions
Right.
To your mind, tapos ka na mag-turnover, pero actually if you look at the bigger picture, baka hindi pa tapos.
Correct. Diba? My as an employee, my definition of turnover will be different or maybe very different from the definition of the employer. Tama?
And then yung ibang employee hihirit. Hindi, attorney, dapat maintindihan nyo kami. Ang sagot ko dun, hintayin nyo pag kayo naman yung naging boss. True. Tignan ko kung pareho pa rin yung sasabihin nyo. It looks so different from each side of the fence. Diba?
Yeah. Okay, and third point that Attorney Irwin talked about is, even if it's required, you are free to negotiate. Okay, you can always negotiate. Pwede tayong makiusap.
Makiusap, hindi po mag-demand.
And nagbigay si Attorney Irwin ng tips on paano makiusap. No? Make it advantageous, make it logical, di ba? And be reasonable. Lastly, pinaka-important, Attorney Irwin also talked about the definite no-nos. Things na wag niyong gagawin. Wag magtampo, wag magnakaw, wag mag-sabotage, and all that.
Para may hugot yung pagsabi mo ng tampo.
May marami tayong kilalang mahilig magtampo. Alright, so, yun na ba yun, Attorney Irwin?
I think that's it. For most of you, this video was more than enough, and if it makes your life easier, then you're very welcome. But there are those of you who will watch this video and end up asking more questions, such as, Attorney, how do I write my resignation letter? Or, Attorney, what needs to be included? If that's you, then I invite you to enroll in our free workshop. It's the free legal guide to writing resignation letters. It gives you a template for writing legally compliant resignation letters and teaches you the reasons for each part. Enroll for free at info.legalguide.ph/resignation letter to get your free template and orientation today.
Now, to add to that, if you want us to tackle your question in our show, go to www.legalguide.ph and click the Submit Topic button. Next, of course, we'd like to know what's your biggest takeaway from today's video. So please write it down in the comments and let's talk about it. Last, if you feel we've earned a good rating, please give us a like and subscribe because it gives us feedback that we're doing a good job and it encourages us to do more videos.
One last thing. There are competing interests when it comes to employee resignations. The employee wants to resign ASAP while the employer wants to maintain the status quo. Just because these positions seem to be opposing each other doesn't mean that they can't be reconciled. Just talk it out using the guidelines we put here instead of acting impulsively, and who knows, you may end up with a transition that's smoother than either of you expected. So was it that simple?
Now go make better choices.